Hello and welcome back to another Gypsy Soul podcast episode. This stories that find us, the Otto's Daughter edition. As you may have heard already, I've been interviewing people from my band Otto's Daughter that was formed in New York City in the late 90s, early 2000s. And we've had an amazing run and many transformations. And so it's been kind of my goal to interview a lot of my past members and my core members and talk about our experiences starting the band, the many transitions and changes that occurred, and the many adventures we've gone on. So with no further ado, today's guest is one of my core members. He joined in 2001 because of a very tragic event, and it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because we became longtime partners and friends for life. With no further ado, here is Jim.
Whenever you're ready.
Hello, Jim.
Now, okay, we'll start now. Fucking shit. Hi. We're off to a good start.
You're off to a good start, but that's pretty much us anyway. We just giggle.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Oh my God. So I think out of all the Otto's Daughter band members, obviously we have the longest history because, you know, you joined in 2001 and we're going to get into that in a minute.
Right.
And, you know, we ended it in 2013. That's crazy. I thought we released an album. Oh no, it was in 2005. Never mind. No. Wait, what?
The last one. What was that?
That was The Arc of a Dream that was released in. I think you're right because we ended the band then. Yeah, it just seems so long ago. I love your glasses, Professor Jim. Jim, you've been.
This doesn't have a date on it. Fucking printers, man.
What kind of notes did you make?
I see a bunch of notes. Listening to Gadget Talk and fucking Sebastian Talk. I got notes.
Jim has notes. You know what? So for everyone to know, Jim was my long-time partner.
We're going to keep all this, okay?
I know we started right off like Jim has been my long-time partner with Otto's Daughter, and we've gone through a lot of stuff. And speaking of notes, even when you joined the band, when you went to the first audition, you had a lot of notes, and they were all in your head, and you were so prepared. I couldn't believe it. I've never met anyone at an audition that knew every freaking single part. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to you because let's talk about how you even found us.
Okay. Well, first of all, I was in another band at the time, and we were doing quite well. Then
give us the name of the band. What's the name of the band?
The band was called VBS, Violent Bruised Sky, and we had something going on, and 9/11 hit, and a couple of other things happened, but 9/11 hit. And I ended up working from 7 at night to 7 in the morning down at the pit. At the time, I believe I was looking for something else to do, and my band was in more of a hardcore, I don't want to say new metal, but like a hardcore detuned, very hard rock outfit. And I wanted to scratch my industrial music itch, so to speak. So I started looking for something to do with that in that genre. My brother had a web browser because I didn't have a computer till 2002. So I went on my brother's web browser, and you guys had an ad up. And in my whole life, I've only gone to 2 auditions, and yours was the second one. And it was very interesting. So I think I probably spoke with Gadget online. I didn't think I would be getting you because usually you don't get the singer, you get somebody in the band who's like responsible for the most part. And so I ended up buying Void, of course. I'm not saying you're not responsible, but normally here's a flakes.
I know.
Yes, all of you. And so I bought the CD in good faith, saying, all right, let me see what's going on with this. And I listened to it. I found it very interesting, although the instrumentation, the lines were completely blurred with the instrumentation, because you had apparently guitars that sounded like keyboards and keyboards that sounded like guitars and vocals that sounded like guitars and keyboards. And there was just a bunch of melodies attacking. And I was like, how the fuck do I follow on this? I also listened to it for about 3 straight nights, actually, at work. And then I asked a couple of friends at work that I trusted. I gave them my headphones and the CD, and I said, "What do you think?" And this one guy, Mike's like, "You should give it a shot. Don't really want to be down here." I was like, "Okay." So I went. When I got home one morning, I started learning some of the stuff, and then there was an awful lot to attack, because I think there's 9 songs on the EP on the first record. And I was like, all right, which ones do they want? And I think I asked one of you guys, and you said, just learn these 4 or 5 or something like that. And so I learned them, and I went down for the audition, and that's when I spoke with Gadget. And Gadget's like, yeah, just pick me up in the city, because I lived in Brooklyn at the time, and you guys were practicing because you had an inexpensive rehearsal space in Jersey City, just outside the Lincoln Tunnel. So I set up a meeting where I could pick Gadget up somewhere in Midtown. He was doing his government work at the time, I guess. And so he's like, okay, this is going to be easy. Just as long as she doesn't tell you what to do, everything's going to be fine. As long as she's not correcting you or saying anything, everything's going to be fine. And I'm like, sure, this is going to be great. Okay, not a problem. I walk in, I meet Sebastian. And this is the thing also, Sebastian was like, Jim is always so serious all the time. I was an outsider walking into your scene. Even Dan was one of the other guys who was trying out. And I never met Dan until you decided to keep Dan. And even he was still in your circle. In that circle, he was doing Empire Hideous and Spy Society, I believe. So you guys, I came from, more the hardcore and heavy rock. And this scene, these 2 circles never meet. Well, now they do, but they never met at the time. So I always felt like I was the transfer kid in school in the middle of the year, and everybody's already friends with everybody, and I'm just sitting at the desk like, all right, don't piss nobody off. Just, don't annoy anybody. So said hi to everybody, checked the tuning, tried to get decent sounds, and then we started practicing. Well, I should say auditioning, and I think we started with, I want to say Fistful of Lies, and immediately that first part's like, do, 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 do. Started playing it on the guitar, and so stop. That's a vocal line. I'm like, what? don't play that. I'm like, huh, so what do I do? So I'm just doing the power chords, and it gets playing in the verse, and you stop. Play there. That's keyboard section. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? You're not going to play there. You play in the chorus.
Just code.
Just be entertaining. I was like, be entertaining. Just stand there and be entertaining. And I don't know how to do that. And up until 2005, I had horrible stage fright. So I'm like, fuck. So we went through the song, we went through these parts, went through other parts, and 2 or 3 of these things happened. So I was like, all right, well, it was fun. And I'm packing my stuff up. And I'm like, yeah, fuck this, I'm done. This went horribly wrong. And it was funny because you and Sebastian, once Sebastian said the 2 of you guys were talking about it, I didn't remember any of that until he said that. And then it triggered. The 2 of you guys were like hanging out, chit-chatting. And I'm like, I'm so fucked, and Gadget was very helpful for me with that. Also, it was a learning curve, learning how to play with electronic drums, because I was normally louder, like the other guy, but not as loud as the other James that came down.
Not at all.
So I lowered significantly, knowing, all right, I'm playing with a female vocalist now. Don't blow her out, and trying to stay melodic, because she's not hardcore. She's actually singing and has, like female voice, so now you have to make space sonically for it. So it's like, okay, I'll do that. And I did a lot of octaves just to stay in, give you as much space as possible. And then I'm packing up and I'm like, I'll just bring this shit back. I'll go back to the other band. Tomorrow night's practice in Far Rockaway. I'll just put everything in the van and go back. And you guys were all talking, and Gadget came up to me while I was packing up, and he's like, "So, want to learn some more songs and come back down next time?" I was like, "Oh, you guys want me back?" He's like, and you look over at the two of you two were talking. You went, like, yeah. I don't give a fuck, yeah. And I was like, all right. So he gave me the disc, which was the instrumental versions, basically, of Renew. Almost all of the songs. And actually, it had another song that never made the record, which I really loved. And
what song was that?
That was Washed Away.
Oh my God, yes.
It's one of my favorite songs you guys ever wrote.
Oh,
and it
shit.
by the day. That was such a beautiful song. And I went back. The next day I had practice with my band, going through the motions with I shouldn't say it that way. Practicing with my band, still trying to find a singer. We had a problem with the singer at the time, a completely different video. And then I'm starting to like listen to that at work. I was like, let me see what I can do about this. And then I left work because you guys needed a guitar player. I was there, my second time I was there, the guy whose hands went numb was the other guitar player who came down. And I was watching because I'm sitting there like, you said something like, "Oh, we're going to try this guy out too. Do you mind?" I'm like, "No, your band. Whatever you want to do, I'm cool with it. If I'll run to the store or something." You're like, "No, you can stick around." So, and he was like, "Yeah, sometimes my hands go numb." I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like, what the hell's going on with this guy?
The thing is, when you audition people, and that's why we were a little bit off, like not so warm right away, because I learned like I would always be like so nice and kind and friendly, and then these people turn out to be flakes, or they never show up again, or they don't learn the songs. So I learned to kind of step away a little bit and just be like, yeah, just see how the guy's doing. Don't attach yourself to the person, because there, as you know, there were so many horrible. I mean, we can talk about that in Van Nuys, the drummer, remember? Sticks.
Yeah.
That's way later, but there's like auditioning. That's a whole nother probably like episodes that we could talk about auditioning people, which is like horror stories.
Most people wouldn't believe it.
And comedy, you can make that shit up, yeah. But basically, you joined because of 9/11. If 9/11 would have not happened, we would have never met, because you would have not been able to stay at your brother's and be at your brother's computer, see our ad. Because at the time we needed.
Oh, no, he was with me at the time. He moved in with me, but he was home because he was working all the time down there.
Right. Because you worked at Ground Zero. I know you don't want to talk about it, but like you were working there.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and but that's the reason we met, and I think that's powerful alone. That's kind of amazing in a way that we met, and we needed two guitarists because I had booked a show in New Orleans, and I told Gadget, like, I don't give a shit if I'm going to play to a CD. I'm going to go down there, whether or not I find a band. And that's how we always kind of operated. And then you guys showed up, and you ended up being, a very, very important and long-term member, because you were the one who came with us to LA.
I was the 8th guitar player. I remember hearing that conversation. You're the 8th guitar player. I'm like, oh shit. Okay.
I didn't even know that. Like I didn't even know that. Like you told me that. So I'm like, okay.
Gadget, I think, told me that.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
All of those facts at the time had all those facts down. I remember particularly one time we played in Downtime. I don't know if it was Gadget I was walking through the club with, or if it was Sebastian. It might have been Gadget, but we were walking through, and that one particular night, there were 5 people who used to be in your band in the club. I was like, yeah, this guy used to play with us. I was like, really? No, and then we go up the stairs. This guy used to play with us. Oh, really? I'm like, motherfuckers are in this place.
Because we used to like let anyone play with us until we realized they can't play, or like they are not reliable. We were just like, really, yeah, you want to play with us? Let's play with us. Like people would come up to me, say, I used to be in your band. I'm like, you were? And I felt like an asshole because I couldn't remember. And it's not because I was on drugs, I was drunk. I stopped, like I said, I kind of,
you mentally blocked it.
Blocked it because I'm like, I don't remember that person at all. Like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I remember the important members. But then let's talk about, so so your first show with us was somewhere
in Connecticut.
In Connecticut, and then
it was in Connecticut. The second show was the one in Metairie where you got mad. But the first show was interesting.
Yeah, we talk about that.
Let's talk about that. The first show was in Connecticut, and it was a brilliant idea because, like, first of all, it's the first time I ever played in Connecticut, which is pretty funny considering if you play in New York, Connecticut,
I know,
Pennsylvania, and Boston, the immediate spots.
Yeah.
Never played in Connecticut before, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to play in Connecticut just to see what's going on." And at this point, you decide you're going to keep Dan as well.
Right.
Dan was kind of like, "Cool, this is going to be good," and I was thrilled because I was like, "Okay, good. 2 guitars always sounds full because then we could always do interesting chord stuff."
Yeah.
But again, I was the new kid, transfer kid into the school, so that's why I was kind of going to the time. We went to Connecticut, and I had a producer that taught us stage stuff, this guy Night Bob. He was telling us there's a line on the stage, you stay behind this line, and from this line forward is always the singers. You do not step in the singer's zone. So I immediately said, I'll just stay in this little area here, stage right. I'll stay in this little area here and just watch how the band moves so we don't trip into each other and look like a comedy show. So we were playing in Connecticut, and then in the middle of, I want to say maybe it was masking ball or something. You took your mic stand and you had a disco ball on the mic stand. And I was like, that's kind of cool. You took the mic stand and you started slamming it near where I was. I'm like, okay, so I'm never going to leave this little area because she's going to just destroy everything over here. So I'm just going to stay way over here and keep my foot pedals and all that stuff way over here so she doesn't destroy it. So that was a fantastic show for me to learn what's going on in the dynamics live with these guys. Then we took the drive down, and that's when I learned about the Dance Star system.
You have to tell
we all learned about each other at that moment.
I know we didn't know you guys, and we just all decided to go in the van and go to New Orleans and play a few shows. Tell people about the Dance Star because they don't know Dan and they don't know the Dance Star system.
All right. Well, first of all, Dan is a fantastic person. He's awesome. It's just that you can't not hear him talk, but at the same time, most people don't see him. It's very strange. You can hear him, but you can't see him, which is why no one ever recognizes him when he comes off the stage. So we were going to New Orleans, and I think we got on the 80 or something like that. We were going, again, this is 20 years ago. And we get to the thing, we're going to go down 81 or was it 27 or something like that. But it was between, there was a fork in the road. You could take both of them, but one of them was like, the Gadget was picking 81 and Dan was picking the other one. I want to say 27, I'm not even sure. And just like 3 miles from there, and the two of them start going at it like, we should take 81. And Dan's like, no, you gotta take 27 or blah, blah, blah. And then Dan's like, Gadget's more like, no, 81 is gonna save us. And I was like, 1 mile left. I was like, fuck this. I put my headphones on, I'm taking 81. And I just take 81 and I just let them continue going. And I listen to music very loud, as you know. I listen to music very loud, and I'm driving. And I look over and I see Dan doing this. And I was like, I'm driving, I go like this. And no one's listening, and everybody did. And I was like, oh, fuck this. And I just kept driving. You guys are in the back cracking up. And I think that's the first time I said, nice talking to you to one of you guys. And you guys just love me. From now on here, nice talking to you.
I think wasn't Al with us too?
Not in New Orleans. Al always went with us to Boston.
Oh, okay.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Which is a longer drive sometimes.
So then tell us about the show in Metairie, because that was funny as hell. I was yelling at you.
Okay.
So I should say first. So what we
you
did,
should say first.
What we always did is, like, because we had a lot of bad people playing with us, we decided, like, at some point, and Sebastian and I talked about that we put everything on a freaking backing tracks, and then we can turn it on if we need to and off if we need to. Well, Gadget decided that certain guitars sound better double anyway. So he'll leave some on, and I think he wanted to still make sure you're comfortable. I mean, you've come such a long way. You didn't know about tweaking your amp. Now you can, like, give freaking workshops about it, because now you know everything about it. But at the time, but you didn't know anything. And so, which is awesome. You learned all that shit. That was not your world. You were introduced to a brand new world, and Gadget was the genius. He knew how to set everything up. So he helped you set everything up and how to, so for you, it was really stressful, probably. Like, I didn't like it, like stepping on pedals. And I was the singer, but still I wanted to do my thing. And I know you had a lot of work to do stepping on this pedal to make the flange, or you can explain it better. But anyway, so we had some, just in case, something in the backing track, even though you were still supposed to play live. Now, go ahead.
You had those, they were, in case of emergency, break glass tracks. Like, these guys, one guy's on drugs, we're throwing him off the stage this time, whatever. You had, all right, well, then no, we're not doing that again. Here's guitar tracks. I looked at it as having training wheels. So if I were to screw up, the guys I don't remember, all right, we're just gonna, don't play, just stand there or whatever. Right. But I pretty much had it. And I remember loading in Metairie, and there was a decent amount of kids there, and I was like, wow, this is, how did you do this? And I don't know if you just, like Sebastian says, New Orleans is just an amazing town for this band. New Orleans is an amazing town to begin with, but we loaded in, and first of all my gear worked in Connecticut, and we put it from the van in Connecticut, and we left it all in and went to New Orleans. So there was nothing happened between Connecticut and New Orleans. We were fine. So I get to New Orleans, we all setting up and doing sound checks. I'm watching Gadget and Sebastian set that crazy PA system you guys had with the subwoofer, and I'm watching for the first time because I'm like, okay, we need to do this to cut down setup time in the future. So I was kind of watching them, and I set my stuff up. And at the time, it was simple. I was a purist with the other band. It was just, I had two pedals. I had three pedals. I had a whammy pedal, which I never used. I had a tuner, and I had an acoustic pedal for a particular song in the other band. And it passed off well. Everything else was direct into the amp. With you guys, all the crayons in the box were going right into the signal chain. So I'm setting up and I'm getting like static and cutting out and really a lot of white noise. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So first thing you do, you troubleshoot it. I pull it out, guitar straight into the amp. Sounds fine. Okay. Back in, go to each pedal, everything's fine. Plug it back together, it's making noise. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Now everyone's ready to go, and I'm kind of making a mess. And I'm mad because I'm the new guy. I don't want to fuck this up. So we played one song, and it's horrendous with all the noise that was coming out of my amp. So I just said to Gadget, turn on the guitar tracks. I walked over to him, turn on the guitar tracks. I'm going to dummy it the rest of the show. He's like, good. Dan's still there. You're still going to hear organic guitars. No one's the better for it. I turned my volume down, or I put my amp on standby so the light was still on. And I faked the whole show. And after the show, everyone was like, you guys are great. And then was signing autographs, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then, yeah, you were really great. And I was like, I didn't play. I'm
like, Jim, shut the fuck up.
I faked the whole time.
You're telling everybody. And I'm like, don't fucking tell people that, okay?
I didn't want to lie. I want to be honest with people. I was like, everyone else played. I was faking it.
You cracked me up so much.
They didn't care.
Oh my God. I'm like, what the fuck you doing, Jim? Don't tell people that you didn't play.
Sebastian didn't care. Sebastian found it funny. Dan, I don't know if Dan found it, I don't quite remember Dan's reaction to that. Gadget was like, you really shouldn't be telling anybody this.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You know?
It's the truth.
I know, but it was still funny. It was like, oh my fucking God, Jim, no.
So the thing was, I was really annoyed. I came down here, I had spare stuff, but nothing, everything checked out, but when it was put together, it didn't work. And I was like, I don't know what it is. So we had the hotel in Metairie near the pool. And I said, I'm going to set up, we're going to get thrown out anyway, but I'm going to set up in our room, because it was me, Dan, and some guy from Europe who was he Sebastian's friend?
Oh, the Polish guy.
Yeah, because I said it's
of the nail polish. That's why I remember that.
Yeah, he said Polish, guitar Polish. I was like, no, it's Polish. But that was I'm sharing a room with two other people. I went down with no one I knew. And the only one I was like, I'm from New York, I don't trust nobody. But Sebastian was with you and Gadget in one room because you guys already knew each other. And I was me, Dan, and this guy. And I'm like, I think I put my wallet under my pillow. Well, I'm in Louisiana with 3 people I don't know, or 5 people I don't know. I said, I'm setting my stuff up and I'm going to troubleshoot it here because that night was the wax museum. So I set it up. I said, whatever doesn't work is going in the fucking pool. So I put everything together. It was the cable from the last pedal to the end. I checked everything but that cable. I was pissed.
It's always the same thing.
I swapped it out. I checked everything but that, and I was pissed. And then it was like, I wanted to cut up and throw it in the pool, and Dan's like, don't throw nothing in the pool, we're gonna lose our room. I said, okay, so I'm not doing that. But we put it all back together. I told you and Gadget, everything's okay, it won't happen again. Gadget's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, I'm very worried about it. It's not how I roll. So then we went into the wax museum, which was my first introduction to the goth scene. You want to set this up?
The goth fetish scene? No, you can talk about it. Honestly, this is one of those moments I have hardly any memory of. And that's what I find it so weird talking to you guys. There's certain things I so clearly remember like it was yesterday. And then there's so many things that were great things that I'm like, I don't fucking remember that. So I do remember us playing there. I do remember us going to Anne Rice's dollhouse. It's a fun fact that that's also way fast forwarding that we don't talk about this part today. We'll see. But so we went to the Anne Rice's dollhouse, and Jim and I both love Anne Rice, and I think Hamid liked Anne Rice. Yeah, of course he liked Anne Rice too. And you know how I love dolls. So we walked in there, and there was Lestat, and he was the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. And you were like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
I didn't realize what effect that had until 7 months later. But just so everybody knows, you walk into, it was an Anne Rice store in the Garden District in this cool little, like, it was a barn that they turned into a mini mall.
That's gorgeous.
The Lestat doll was about 6'5". It was bigger than life size. It was a tall, like, doll. And it had porcelain eyes in it, which were unsettling. Well, when I looked into it, it was unsettling. I'm like, those are like real eyes. And
I know.
Walking down the stairs like this, looking at him like, I was like, okay, it's just a fucking doll, okay.
I couldn't stop. I was like, oh my God, I found my man.
I didn't realize, but yeah, that was exactly, once you told me what you'll get to later on in the story, yeah, that's why I was like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense why you were acting like you were acting. And the funny thing was, we went to the Garden District and we're like, oh yeah, let's all walk around. And they were like, no, we're going to stay in the van. And out of the 6 of us, you and I were the only 2 walking around.
We were always walking, always. We were always walking around. I mean, obviously that's why we've been together for a long time,
Yeah.
and that's why we are still talking. We are best friends basically. So I mean, we always, we are best friends. You've been a part of my family, but
we know too much about each other to not say anything to anybody else.
Exactly, we know everything about each other pretty much. Yeah. So the Lestat doll, we'll come back to that later, but that's a huge. Remind us later. So back to the wax museum show. That was your first goth fetish experience.
It's funny. I think that place is gone because I lived there year before last, and I looked for it constantly. I knew it was in the quarter. I knew it was up near the top, but I think it was gone at that point.
Yeah.
But we went there. We showed up a little early, and I was shocked that they actually were ready for us when we got there. Because usually the guy doesn't show up till like 20 minutes before the doors open. This guy was there a couple of hours beforehand, and we went right to the freight elevator, which I was I was kind of like, I hope this thing holds all this equipment, because it was in the French Quarter. It was probably from the 1900s. And then we walked everything through the wax museum to the ballroom, and I'm rolling my stuff, going, I'm in a fucking wax museum. All right, whatever. And we set up all our stuff, and then I think we went to the French Quarter. We went down to Jackson Square to get something to eat before it started. And then the very first impression I got with me, Dan, and Sebastian, because we all came up, and then you and Gadget went into the dressing room in the back, that big ass dressing room, and started getting ready. And me, Sebastian, and Dan went to go get a drink. And this is again my first time in thing, women wearing lingerie and fangs and like all that whole scene. And we walked. No, I was just like, because the crowds I would play to were guys in pits with like our merch, and the other band was like basketball jerseys, and these are women running around in various states of undress, and the guys are wearing makeup and lipstick, and I'm like, okay. So we went to the bar to get something to drink, and some girl started talking to, or saying hi to Dan and Sebastian and I, and she had fangs, and Dan gets a drink, I get a drink, and Sebastian, I think, had already had a drink at that point. And she went to take a drink, but her fangs wouldn't let her put the I was like, yeah, okay. Did anyone else notice this? And I think Dan caught it, and I don't remember, but I was just like, it was such a comedic, like she was trying to be all cool and all, and she was like doing this, fangs wouldn't let her drink from the glass. I was like, okay, so this is the kind of scene I'm going to be playing in. Okay.
It was the first time too.
It was a lot of fun though. It was a fantastic time. It was a fantastic time. And then the next night we played at the Whiskey Bar on Canal Street, I believe it was, not far from where I worked when I moved down there. And
that show, that's the show where somebody took my uniform and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I remember that story perfectly. We went into there, and I think we had to cross the grass, the island in the middle where the trolley. We had to bring. I think we put everything over there, and then we parked the van around the other side of it. And I was always on stage right, and Sebastian and Dan were always on stage left.
Because we forgot to tell people you are lefty. Yeah, you play left.
I'm left-handed, so the guitar's faced like this, which draws attention to the singer. My pop showed me that too. Their side of the stage was fucked up though. So Sebastian had a rig that sat about this high off the floor. It was like a 115, 410s, and then he had a rack space mount thing. And Dan had, I think, like a half stack or something like that. And the stage was wobbly on their side, but not my side. And during the show, while they were playing, they were kind of like doing this, getting into it, and their stuff was going like this, and guys. So they had to stop just so it wouldn't do that and fall over, which probably made it boring for them. But there was a girl there. You changed in the bathroom, and you came out. She was a kleptomaniac. She told us she was a kleptomaniac, and she stole the stuff. You must have said something to one of the fans, because most of the Metairie crowd followed us into New Orleans for that. And someone said someone stole her stuff, and she came back and apologized, saying she's a kleptomaniac. Then she proceeded to steal 2 or 3 of the pool balls from the pool table.
Back in the days, first of all, I used to make an outfit for every show. And I had an outfit, every show was a different outfit that I made. Except actually for that run, I had the same, I would start out with a white sheet.
You started off as the Middle Easterner and then went into the middle.
And then I had a uniform on, like an army uniform on. And I would run throughout the set. I would go run to the bathroom and do the little change and then come back out. It was all part of the show.
Right.
Sometimes later on I did everything on stage, but it looked okay because people just were like, what the fuck's going on? Why is she running away? And then, there she is.
And you were wireless, which helped. And
we had a wireless, yeah, so that was really cool, like jumping into the crowd and stuff. Yeah, that was so funny. I'm like, where's my shit? And then it was back. I'm like, it's back.
Yeah, she apologized, but then she had to steal something, so she stole some of the pool balls off the table.
Oh my, I don't remember that part.
All right then, I remember, again, everyone remembers a different part of the puzzle.
Really, yeah.
it was just hilarious. And then we went back. We drove home that night, I think.
Did we?
We did shifts on that. Yeah, and I got a speeding ticket in Tennessee. We just came from getting gas, and I went like, all right, I'm gonna make some good time. I get off the on-ramp right onto the highway, right pulled over. I was like, I didn't even get to the speed I wanted to, and he pulled me over. And you guys are like, we'll pay for the ticket. I'm like, no, I did it. I'll pay for it. My fault.
Oh my God. It was a crazy time because at that time we still had to go through like, there were like a lot of army people in all over the city, you know, because it was like still like the 9/11 phase.
Yeah, it was a military crime zone, which is why you couldn't get in. Like I had to pass, I could get in, but you had to go through an armed, basic sentry post to get into there.
The tunnel and stuff. And here we are with a freaking van and pyros and the driver. His name is Hamid.
I was like, you sure you don't want me to drive? No, I got it. Okay. Let's just well, I had the van, I had the clothing rack that looked like it would hold a surfboard. So whenever I went to go to work, it always looked like I had a missile launcher concealed.
Right.
And they pull me over and open every single night on the way to work. They'd open it up. They saw me every day, but they had to open it up anyway because it just looked bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Procedure.
For my other band.
Yeah. Was that so in Metairie? We didn't do pyros, did we?
No, the first time we did pyros that I know of was that show. And
tell us your experience because so we were and we talked about this because looking back, right? What did you say to me when we were talking on the phone? You were saying something like we were so advanced with everything because we had so much equipment. We had a lightning bar. I mean, for an unsigned band, right? That had like
Gadget brought that up.
We had like no
state of the art.
We had like no budget, like, but we were so resourceful to have the sampler set up. We had our own lights, I mean, every show was on. And I mean, that was part of Otto's daughter theme throughout all of our years. Every show we treated like the big rock show. It doesn't matter if we play a shithole with 2 people or we're playing, a big ass venue. It never mattered.
Well, the quote, the shitty shows are usually the ones you really have to throw down for because most bands check out on the shitty shows. And
exactly.
Usually the show where some pivotal tastemaker or the right person in your life is just to be drinking and watching the band before you, and they see you guys like, look at these guys throwing down in this like hole in the wall. What do they do in a real place? So again, that was part of the allure to me, again, coming in kind of as a new fan with this, like Sebastian says, he was a fan. And again, it's a unique perspective to come in to an established act that, you're walking in like, first thing you listen to is like, do I even like the music? Would I go spend my money to go see this band? And then it's like, well, can I play this music? But you had to, that's the first band I ever played with. That's the only band I ever played with V drums. You had this light box with the black lights that you had like these switches on the box. Fucking amazing. I was like, what is this? What is this band doing? You had your own PA system that you brought with you, your monitors and stuff. You had a subwoofer because you had really good loops going. And I was like, this is really, really cool opportunity. And I was really stoked to be a part of it. And again, Gadget was so far ahead of the curve. Both of you were, but he, he was kind of masterminding.
He was masterminding it, yeah.
He was, and he was just. I would think now, everybody now, I mean, the big acts are on par with what he was doing, but he was using a sampler as a trigger. It wasn't even there was no running a click track and shit. He had a click track going through the sampler. He rigged it in such an unorthodox way. He maximized every piece of equipment on that drink cart thing that you got. That thing was huge, man.
It was huge and heavy.
It was top heavy too. It didn't help that it was all top heavy. For anybody who doesn't know, who hasn't seen us, because there's no pictures of the fridge.
It's got to be one somewhere.
Go on a plane and order a Coke. Watch what they roll down the thing. That's the size of the drink.
exactly it. Yes.
Exactly what it is.
Yes.
It's the thing that rolls down the aisle and gives everybody their food, and that's how big it was. And we're carrying it up like Webster Hall, all of these other places, and it was just like, this is insane.
I think in the beginning we didn't even have rolls on it. Like, then we got smarter. We're like,
wait, did you? Or did the wheels break? I kind of remember him changing the bottom on it.
yeah. I think that happened probably a few times. It was
always upgrading.
It was always upgrading, and see, at the time I didn't understand that how necessary it is. Now I totally get it. And the funny part was also like, back in the day I would program drums and I would write tracks. Like I would program drums on the MPC, and Hamid would listen to it and he'd be like, how much, there's no way I'm going to play that. I'm human. And so I think that's why we started using that, because we're like, okay, we're doing all this crazy shit that no way can any person do that. You know what I mean? Like that's just like a robot thing, you know?
Yeah, but he would find the right beat to play along with that loop. He turned that thing into a loop and then played the accompanying beat where people
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, but I'm like, can you play that? He's like, no, I need like 10 hands.
3 hands, 4 feet. The tambourine.
It was just so funny. Oh my God. What are the other highlights? I mean, so you joined and then we got more serious and we're like, okay, let's, we have finally, that was the first time Otto's daughter actually had a real band. Like, so, because we've done a 2-piece, we've done a 3-piece, we had I think at some point we had 6 people in the band, if not 7. But at that point it was you, Sebastian, Dan, Gadget, and me. And we were pretty solid. And
when I came in, Dan and I came in at the same time.
Right.
You guys were like, we're going to keep both of you because we like you both. And nothing changed until we left for California.
Until we left, exactly.
That was at the end of 2001, really. I think you decided, we're gonna stay with this lineup after the first Downtime show. That's the show with the pyro. And that's the question I wanted to say. The show where Gadget put all the makeup on and you guys were laughing, that was the New Year's Eve show. Now, I'm wondering, I remember he out of nowhere.
At CBGB's Gallery.
Yes, that was the New Year's Eve show with Voltaire.
When I wore that dress, and your friend was taking a picture of me remember that from the behind?
Yeah, Mike. Mike's the guy who said you should try out for them.
Oh, I remember.
And he's the guy we moved to California and he came to visit, and him and his new wife got married in every state on the way, remember?
You told me that.
On the way, and they go, we got married in every state on the way here. I'm like, how are you gonna do a divorce? You gotta go all the way back?
Oh my God, that's funny.
But yeah, that was the Voltaire show. And is Gadget had super short, like a crew cut. Was that when he did the thing with the pyro and blew his hair? Remember he did himself white in New Orleans and looked like Michael Jackson.
At some point he had his hair short. I don't remember exactly why. Maybe because of a job or something. I don't remember exactly why.
Was it the job? Because I didn't know. Because he said in his that he put too much pyro when he was testing.
Well, it was the eyebrows. Yeah, he
eyebrows
put
and part of his hair, and I was like, is that when he cut his hair? But I'm not sure. But yeah, that was that show. That again, listening to the other things, I was like, no, that was New Year's Eve, because he did that thing New Year's Eve because it was New.
That was pretty funny.
I had the vertigo.
I mean, I always put a lot of makeup on, and you always told me like, which I didn't know, but you're like, oh, you look like you do Cirque du Soleil, and I'm like, what? Because I was like really into like all the big makeup, and it was so cute. Gadget is like there doing his thing, and we're all looking at him like, what are you doing? And he just had that that white face and the black painted beard, and he just looked at us with a serious face saying, well, at least I'm trying. We're all like, oh my God.
I remember that. But that was interesting because I had the vertigo around that time.
You always had vertigo.
They had me taking the medicine to alleviate, because I had a debilitating infection in this side, and it would cause vertigo. But if I were to take that stuff, then I couldn't operate machinery, and I was a lineman. I was driving trucks, so I was like, 2 or 3 days I was loopy, and I'm like, just fuck this. And then I always looked like I was drunk, about to fall off the stage. It's because if I shake my head the wrong way, I get dizzy and I was going to fall over.
In my memory, you always had vertigo. You would always do stupid shit.
I was still learning how to play with you guys. I was still learning how to perform, and I didn't want to do myself. I was freaking out.
So Jim was like, really, you were really, you had such a stage fright. And I said, Jim, you gotta be a bit more, engaging and show your face, and be like the rock star. And then, so we're playing somewhere, and there were all these. We always had a lot of photographers in the crowd, and
yeah, we're gonna go on that one.
They came up to me and they said, God, you're a fucking guitar player. I can never get his face. And I'm like, Jim, don't ever show your face. This is great. Because it became almost like a challenge for anyone, because you had this really awesome curly hair. And it was a challenge for, they would be so proud, like, I got his face. I got his face. He was going up and I got it. It became your shit. It became your thing. And I was awesome.
That was the other thing when I first started playing with you guys. I was like, I think it was the first Downtime show. I think that's the first like home, we'll call it home show. And I think there was like 4 or 5 people taking pictures. And I'm like, I think I said to Sebastian, I said, did they hire photographers? Sebastian was like, no, they're always here. I think it was Sebastian. It was Sebastian or Gadget. I was like, did you guys hire photographers?
We never did.
Yeah. And I'm like, what kind of fucking band is this? You have like nearly as many photographers as you have people in the crowd. What the hell's going on? then it follows you to Philly, and then you had Kyle Cassidy out in Philly. And I was like, you have photographers everywhere? What's going on here?
They would just come to the show because we were so theatrical and we were so entertaining that people really, and I did the stage blood and the dolls and throwing down, like you said, with the mic. I would just lose my shit. You know how I am on stage. I'm getting into the zone. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. So, and that's not on drugs.
No, you don't.
I never did drugs or drank before a show ever. And
No,
I
I've never.
drugs after, it just, I get into that. That's my drug. And remember when I said to you, I said, what if I throw stones in the crowd? And you're like, are you fucking crazy?
That was the other thing. Once you said that, it triggered another memory in my head. The first time I walked in to try out for you guys, first of all, you had to do a step up. It was like a step. You guys had like I don't want to say an anechoic chamber, but you had
the elevated, because it was always it was always flooded.
Right. So I was like, okay. And I picked up my stuff, I put it in, and then I looked up. And in your rehearsal space, you had chains hanging down all over the place and pieces of baby dolls everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck am I walking into? I forgot that. And I was just like, this fucking, and I'm playing, and I'm like, this fucking chains and fucking broken dolls all over the place. What the hell is this? So yeah, some guy, who was that guy who would always come to the shows? He was a big dude. He came when we played the Acoustic Alchemy show in 2005. He was
Ed.
No, not Ed. He always dressed up real nice. He had black hair, and he dressed like he was the most goth person in the place the whole time. He knew all your words. He loved you. He loved you, all you guys.
Shit, I don't remember. That's bad.
Big, tall dude, black hair. Anyway, what was my point? Shit, I hate that.
About chains and dolls.
Oh, so yeah, he walks up. He's like, I still have a rubber rat that you threw at me. I was like, you throw shit at people? What the fuck are you doing? And you're like, yeah, we used to do this. And then the glitter. You always did the thing with the glitter. I would have glitter in my van. I had glitter in my other rehearsal space in Far Rockaway. My apartment. It was just, I was like, what the heck? This stuff is like not going away. And there was another thing besides the glitter. There were so many things.
The stage blood.
We played the House of Blues in Philadelphia. Remember that?
Yes, when I threw glitter at people's food.
You were throwing glitter around.
I did.
Went in their potatoes, and they went in their beer, and everybody's complaining to their waiters. She put glitter in my food. I want new food, and I was like, oh my god.
I was like, I'm so sorry, I'll buy you a new drink. Well, I mean, the House of Blues was so stupid. Like, why would they have a show while people are eating? You know, that was like so.
That was a Hard Rock Cafe.
Hard Rock
and there's
Cafe.
an English Elvis behind us, which I found very strange.
I know.
Ooh.
That was a strange show. I hardly remember that, but I remember that. I remember, like, everywhere we played, we always left a mark behind. It was like glitter and
Left a skid mark.
skid mark behind. You would know that Otto's daughter was there.
Yeah. Another thing with that Philly show, the first Philly show that I played. No, it wasn't the first. It was the first. It was at the Hard Rock. Remember, we had to find parking. Everything was out of the trailer already. And I went to go find parking, and you were still like, you started putting your makeup on in the van. And you're like, can I just stay here while you park it? And I'm like, sure. And I turned down the street and went down the wrong way. And then I was going right towards the cop car. And I just went right into the thing. And then they went right in after us. I said, whatever you do, just start complaining, saying, I told you not to do, just don't shut up. And then they rolled down the window and they're like, I told you not to go down the street. And I go, guys, you see what I'm dealing with? Because yeah, just park the car. Don't worry about it. Like, thank you. And you're like, that's a great trick.
We were a great team.
That was funny. And yeah. And my favorite thing to do was play with Carfax Abbey. Always. That was my personal favorite band I ever played with on the same bill with of anybody. Well, no. Celtic Frost, then Carfax Abbey, then The Dreaming.
That was later. Yeah, that was later. Yeah. Well, I don't. Sadly, we didn't play that many shows with them. I feel like we played with so many interesting bands back in the days, like P.T. Grimm. I was mentioning it to Sebastian. I think they were.
Yes. Huh? They were the circus band, right? They were dressed in stripes and doing circus stuff.
The guy, I just remember the drummer was in diapers, and then he took the diapers off, and he had like freaking, pudding, like brown pudding in his pants.
Yeah.
But they were actually really good. That was a really good band. At some point, we had a really good, like, group of bands that we would play with that would A, have a nice draw, and B, we would all be entertaining in different ways. And that was kind of fun. And I think what I really love about that scene, because when we first started out, we didn't know who we were. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Even when you joined the band, we didn't really know what the fuck we were doing. We were just writing, experimenting. We weren't professional songwriters or producers. We were just experimenting, learning along the way. And then I think when we started playing out, the Spiral Lounge, we show up with all this gear and blinding the crowd with our lights because we had no fucking clue what we were doing. And people looked at us like, who are these guys? Where do they think they're playing? Is this the Spiral Lounge, And everybody looked all rock and roll, and here we are. I don't know, I'm all gassed out, and everybody was gassed out, and they're all just like, who's this chick with they were just confused. And we were confused because we're like, we don't know where we belong. Like, we just, people liked it, but I don't know. They were just like, wow, they're actually good, but it's weird. Who are they? Right. And then Ted was the one who saw us somewhere.
Ted's the guy. Ted's the guy. I couldn't remember his name. Ted.
Yeah, I thought that was Ted. So, and then Ted saw us someone. He's like, oh my God, you should play in all these goth clubs. You're goth. And I'm like, what is that? You don't know what goth is. That makes you even cooler. You're the coolest goth ever. Okay. And he got us into like looking into those scenes, and that's how we ended up playing at Mother. Did you play with us at Mother? You didn't. That was.
I never played the Spiral Lounge. I never played Mother. I never played the Bank. I didn't play Arlene's Grocery.
Oh, the Bank. Yes. Yeah.
I went to those places too. I never got to play there.
Okay, but we played, I think with you, we played like the CBGBs, obviously. We did like Webster Hall. We did the Continental several times, which that was one of my favorite places. I love that place for whatever reason. Because it was
called True.
Huh?
There was a place called True.
True? Oh, that was like
up at 3rd Street?
East side, right? Lower East Side somewhere.
Yeah, the square. Was that Herald Square?
Oh my God, that's so long ago. I don't remember.
We played with, I think there were 3 or 4 bands one night, and every band played a Depeche Mode song. We all had one Depeche Mode song, and 2 bands played the same song over. They played In Your Room or something. We played Strip, but they played In Your Room, and it was. What is this, Depeche Mode? What the hell's going on here?
You know, that's also thanks to you, because while we were driving somewhere, I listened. You gave me some CDs, and I was just listening, and I never thought of ever even doing a cover song. But then I listened to your CDs, and I was like, oh, I really like this song. I want to make a cover of that. And then we did, and I was like, Jim, you got to like throw down on this one. And then you did your thing, and that's how the cover came about. That was because we listened to that song. I listened to that song in the car.
That was another funny story. Actually, Sebastian said I finished a record with you guys. I think I only played 2 songs, and Dan played one. Dan played on beat, and I played on Digital Black, and I did Strip with you. And
that's all.
Timmy Rockmore. First of all, Kenny was on that record from what you told me. I think he played Scars. So Kenny was on 4 records. Think about that.
Yeah, Kenny played Scars.
He was on Renew?
No.
He wasn't on Renew at all.
I think so, no. Oh, no, he was not. He was on the Becoming. He played the drums because
he was the guitar player. He was also the guitar player in New Kind of Heroin for Right on Time.
That is true. When he came, that's right. Yeah. Kenny Marone. He was a great friend of ours who Hamid and I met. Gadget and I met him. He was one of the people we auditioned, and he was just so multi-talented and just amazing. And he was one of those people, he just couldn't commit because he wanted to do his own thing. He was really into Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, and he did his own music, you know, and it sounded a lot like him. But then he later on, so anyway, but we just sat down and we were just like jam. And I always said like, oh my God, this guy, I love this guy. I want him in my band, you know? And then it's kind of funny how he ended up always kind of sort of being in and out. Back when we moved to LA, he was in LA also. And then he joined us again live and on some recordings. But then before all of that, he sold everything and you know, rehearsed like every day for 8 hours to audition for Nine Inch Nails. And he became actually the second choice, but not the first choice because he was not happy enough. And unfortunately, he ended up taking his life in 2008. So rest in peace, Kenny, but we appreciate everything you've done and contributed to the band because he was magic, right? He was magic. There was something about him.
Yeah, he worked well with you guys, yeah.
Yeah, it was very magical. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, what were you saying? There's so much. It's crazy to focus because we've gone through so much, and I want to talk so much about the LA thing, but there's so much still in New York because, you know, but what was that one? Remember that one show? I don't know where that was. We stayed at these people's big ass house, and we were like,
"This in Washington D.C." He was a divorce lawyer.
Oh my!
At a Sterling Hotel.
Where did we play there? Like at just
Allentown. That was 2008. That's the second. That's the other side of the pivot for the band.
Oh, that was already when we were already in LA. Oh, that okay.
Yeah, that was Rowan G.
Yeah, we didn't. You know, the one mistake we made when we were in New York, I think, for me, looking back, is that we could have toured way more, but we were all kind of like weekend musicians at this point because a lot of you guys had like day jobs and you know.
I didn't care.
Yeah. But I mean,
had plenty of time. I didn't care. I think it was when you said, I'm kind of surprised when you said you guys were still kind of finding out who you were finding your voice or something. Because listening to that first record, it's very punk pop, not pop punk. You guys, like you were singing, your singing has a natural lilt to it, like a Fiona Apple or like Shirley Manson. But you were more like a punk rock version of that. So that had a very definable sound. And then Renew always felt to me like a concept record. And that's when Sebastian was writing with you guys as well. Now, the other thing is, I think, and I've thought about it since watching these other videos, had Sebastian come to Los Angeles, it would have stayed more like how it was in New York, because Sebastian was a primary writer with you guys. Whereas when you get into Los Angeles, it was just you and Gadget and everybody else you got from rock bands. So we all diluted what you would do. I mean, it was still sounded like you, but at the same time, it was far more organic at that point, which I don't know, because I really loved the New York version. And I obviously loved the Los Angeles version, but they're to me completely different bands. You're the only common denominator at this point.
Right.
Just my personal.
Yeah, we knew Sebastian was way more involved in that, and I remember that. But when you joined, it was cool because we had hired Neil Kernan in El Paso. That was also a badass experience when we went down there. You know, for like a couple of weeks or something, or a week.
That was I want to say it was like 5 days. That was when I officially left my other band and chose you guys. I went the night before we flew out to El Paso. The night before, I went and had a sit down with my producer and the band, and they were getting ready to go in and do another record. And we had differences of opinion over a particular item, which is not important at the moment. And I decided on choosing you guys. And the next morning, I was on a plane with you guys, which was funny because Gadget brought the 4-track mixer with him. Do you remember this? He goes to go through the airport security, and then they stopped it. They pulled out the little like forensic duster thing. They were checking for gunpowder and everything. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I hope he cleaned his hands before he touched the fader, because powder in the shows. And then they let him through, and I was like, okay. But that was a fantastic experience for me, going down to Sonic Ranch in Tornillo.
I think that's when we also got a chance to get to know each other a little bit better, because we never could talk ever. We would like, after shows, we'd like, we should talk, you know, like I never got a chance to get to know you, because we'd always either be in a rehearsal studio just rehearsing, then you'd have to drive back to Brooklyn for an hour or come, you know, you'd always be tired. You'd be like sitting in a van, half asleep. And then we would, after shows, we'd have a beer, and then we talk to fans, and then we're like, so, hey, Jim. And then the minute we try to talk, someone comes and walks up. Remember that? It was,
I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Talk next time.
We're like, it's just not going to happen. We cannot have a conversation. We cannot get to know each other.
No, it's like 7 months of, we'll talk next time.
I know, right? We're like, okay, well, I'll talk to you next time. And then when we went in El Paso, we got a chance, because we were, again, the only ones who would take walks. We'd be like out in the pecan farm. Remember that?
Yes, that was fantastic. Okay, I do have a Gadget story with that, because I would always go off, because it wasn't my baby. That record was you guys, and I came down for the experience and for I guess support, but it was just a cool band thing to do. The whole band went down.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any veto power or anything, so I was like, stay in your lane. This is between Gadget, Jacqueline, and Neil, and Sebastian probably has a couple of words to say here and there, but he probably already talked with Gadget about it. So I was just enjoying the entire place, because the Rio Grande was like 400 yards away from us, and I remember I was walking. I had my headphones on, and I was walking, and I think you jumped on the back of me. I didn't know. I thought you were in the studio, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And he turned around and you're like laughing. And but another time I was walking, and it was turning into sunset, and Gadget came up behind me on a bicycle. And hey, man, I said, and I was like, hey, what's up? You know, and we're talking for a few seconds, then we look over, and the sun is just starting to set over the mountain. And I think both of us were like, man, that's gorgeous. Then we looked at each other, and we were like, we gotta go now. He took off on the bike, and I just turned my head the other way and walked away like, we can't have a moment here.
You had a moment.
We just had a moment. We're like, nah, no. Talk to you
Bye.
Soon. Bye.
How's your pretzel?
Fucking awesome. How's your cereal with no milk?
It's not with milk. It's supposed to be like a snack without milk. I have it with my tea. I had to try tea. Yeah, we did good. You did really good. See, you're going to be a podcast.
I can't see it until everyone can see it.
You can if you want to. And then what you gonna do? Cut that out.
This is why I'll be like, this is why I don't do these things. I'm so self-conscious the whole time.
I know you were a little scared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't give a shit.
What?
I don't like showing my face still.
Well, you could have bought a wig.
Just edit the shit out of it. It'll be funny. Make it like a remix.
You could have bought a wig with the hair that you used to have, or you could just dye your hair and put it out instead of having it back, because you still have all your hair.
Yeah.
For the next episode,
Still there.
you'll be like, whoa, there you go. There you go. Look at that handsome hair. Look at you. That looks great.
Thank you. What are you laughing at?
Because I'm still filming.
You what? What?
I was still filming this.
You are? You're an ass. You really are?
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I know you have a lot of other things to choose from, and for you to take the time out of your busy schedule by having all these other options, staying here with us and listening to our conversation, I really highly appreciate that. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, please hit the like button, and please share it with your friends if you got something out of it. Also, don't be afraid to reach out to my guests, and I will talk to you next week. And as always, you're going to hear a track of mine at the end of this, and you can purchase my music at ottosdaughter.com or jacquelinevanbierk.com, and you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm all over the place, and I would love to connect with you. Thank you for listening, and you have an amazing, fantastic evening, day, morning, week, year, life. Love you guys.
Life's become so damn numb, dying here inside my prison, day and night. Same old fight, self-destructive criticism. I feel you, I do, I bleed through, I do need it. I'm beating out, so useless to count those bruises out of excuses. I'm mafia. Anxiously, I'm waiting here. Something, someone, please amuse me. Prove me wrong, come undone. Nothing's good enough for me, and I feel you, I do, I bleed through, I do need it. I'm beating out, so useless to count those bruises out of excuses. I'm mafia, so useless to count those bruises out of excuses.